All right, without further ado, we're going to get on to our award inductees. Our first award is the Ag Advisor Award, which recognizes individuals in ag advancement and education and similar organizations who have influenced the ag industry through their leadership, guidance, and community involvement. So would you please help me welcome to the stage George Dress and Karen Blizzard, who will tell us a little bit about our 2025 Ag West Farm Credit Ag Advisor, Denise Senor.
Good evening. My name is Karen Blizzard, and I am here to talk a little bit about Denise Senor. She has had 28 years of legacy teaching ag students in the Mid-Columbia and offering opportunities for these students to gain life skills that they then carried on to be successful in their futures. I was a sophomore at Kamiakin when Denise joined us there, and the fact that I'm up here today giving a speech can be credited pretty much solely to her spending her lunch hours helping me prepare for the FFA public speaking events. She would come in and listen. She would help me know when to pause and how to gesture, and I had a habit of shifting my weight from foot to foot, and she would take those little plant stakes and she would throw them at my feet so that I would remember to keep them still. And I was just one student practicing for one competition, and she never made me feel like I was taking too much time, and she was always willing to help. And then she would go and help the next student and the next and the next, while teaching 7 classes and running an agriculture program, and maybe somewhere in there find some time to eat some lunch. So she was always willing to help you to reach your goals. And one thing I really appreciated about Denise is that she would also just push you a little bit further than you thought you were capable of going to achieve just a little bit more. While Denise was in her career, she accomplished a lot of things. She was able to get the Kennewick School District to recognize that agriculture classes are lab sciences. She helped bring a rabbit and poultry farm onto the Kamiakin campus so that urban students would have a chance to experience animal agriculture. And she also was foundational in getting the ag program at Southridge established. And while there were other big accomplishments, she would agree that her biggest accomplishment was spreading her love of agriculture to her students and creating a safe space where they could come and know that somebody believed in them absolutely. And while I was one of her very first students, I would like to introduce you to George Dress, who is one of her most recent students.
Thank you, Karen, and I'm going to read this because I didn't want to mess up anything tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is George Dress. And today we gather to celebrate a remarkable individual whose dedication and passion have not only shaped the lives of many, but have also contributed significantly to the agricultural community. It is my honor and privilege to help with Karen to introduce Denise Senor, this year's recipient of the Ag Advisor Award in the Ag Mid-Columbia Hall of Fame. Denise has been a guiding light in agricultural education, bringing a wealth of knowledge, unwavering commitment, and an inspiring spirit to her role as an ag advisor. Her journey in the agricultural sector is marked by hard work, authenticity, and a deep-rooted dedication to supporting the next generation of farmers and agricultural professionals. Denise's commitment to her students is truly unparalleled. She has dedicated countless hours beyond the traditional school day, often staying late to help offer extra guidance and support. I want to add something to that because my brother used to play basketball, and I'll never forget going to pick him up from high school and seeing Denise's pickup there at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And anyway, she's just a really amazing lady that way. Always stayed super late to help everybody. Her classroom was more than just a place of learning. It was a haven where students felt valued, understood, and motivated to pursue their dreams. On a personal note, Denise has played a pivotal role in my own success, and her dedication has helped my growth and development, and it's been truly remarkable. I'm truly blessed to have had her in my life and helped me succeed. Many different things, from being a Washington FFA state officer to placing top 16 in the nation for prepared public speaking. Her impact has been truly amazing on my life. Please join me in congratulating Denise Senor on this well-deserved recognition. Her commitment and tireless dedication to her students has left a mark on the agricultural community. Thank you, Denise, for your exceptional service and inspiring us all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Denise Seener. I was the ag teacher at Kamiakin High School for 27 years. I taught 2 years at Findlay, but most of my career was spent at Kamiakin High School. My journey to becoming an agricultural educator is kind of an interesting one. I taught grad students in college how to do research and as a technician on campus while I was waiting for my husband to graduate. And so I decided, high school teaching would be fun. Probably the most rewarding thing to me is to see the success of the students. I once had an English teacher tell me that she asked me, what do you do to train your students to speak? She goes, your students speak far better than any of the students that I've ever worked with. And I said, it's because I put the time into them. I had one student that literally would come in to my classroom every single day after school. Prior to that, she would sit on the roof of the school and just kind of hang out because she didn't want to go home. Her family life at home was so bad that she just didn't want to go there. When she finally got into my program as a sophomore, she found a home there. And so she would come to my classroom after school every single day. She started out, wouldn't speak in front of anybody, even in class as a class project, couldn't even present. By the time she was a senior, she had opened up and blossomed, and she just became this great person. Like I said, you just never know what's going on with them and what they need. So sometimes just listening to who they are and being there for them allows them to be themselves. Sometimes that's all they need to be successful. To be nominated for the Ag Hall of Fame, I think, is a great honor. It tells me that you don't nominate yourself. Other people nominate you, and to me, to have somebody think that highly of me, to want to nominate me in the first place, I'm going to start crying here. It was very, very important. I thought it was a very neat gesture on their part. And have it be 2 former students also made it even bigger.
So here, here to present the 2025 Ag West Farm Credit Ag Advisor Award is Mandy Galbraith.
Good evening. On behalf of Ag West Farm Credit, we are very proud to be part of this ag community and very honored to be able to present Denise Senior the Mid-Columbia Ag Hall of Fame Ag Advisory Award. And thank you so much, Denise, for all that you've done to promote agriculture in the next generation. So, and they'll take a picture for you.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming tonight. It is a huge honor to be in front of you today and to be accepting this particular award. It's an award that I never thought that I would ever be nominated for, much less receive. And so I'm really honored to be able to accept it tonight. I apologize if I run a little long. I tend to be long-winded anyway, so I'll try and keep it short. So I did not get into teaching in the typical manner. When I started teaching, basically when I went to school, when I graduated from high school, I said I would never teach. And so I went to school basically to go into animal management. My goal was to become a farm manager. I got my bachelor's degree in cattle management and in my master's degree in horse management. And then I went into work in the industry for 2 years on various horse farms, mostly in the racehorse industry. Then life happened, and I got married. And my husband has a very limited place where he can go. He's a nuclear engineer, so where we could go was pretty limited. So we ended up moving to Washington State. When I moved up here, there really wasn't a strong horse industry like I was experiencing down in Texas. They didn't really have managers manage farms. It's usually an owner-manager type situation. So the job opportunities were pretty limited. Basically, worked in a lot of different variety of jobs, but I really wanted a career. And so that's when I really started thinking about ag teaching as a potential source of income and a career. Called the Kennewick School District, talked to the voc director over there, and he basically said, we have a part-time job if you'd be interested in it. You want to come down and interview with us? And all I was looking for is, what do I need to do to become an ag teacher at that point? Never expected to be hired on the spot. So I went down for an interview, and his biggest concern for me was, what would you do in a classroom management situation? You don't have any classroom management experience, so how would you handle that? And he said, these boys are big. You got to be really, really aware of some of these big boys that are going to bully you in the classroom. And I looked at him and I said, well, in the horse industry, I am a breeding farm manager. I take a 1,200-pound stallion into the breeding barn, the breeding shed, with a hot mare behind behind the collection dummy. If I can handle a 1,200-pound stallion, I think I can handle a high school boy. He laughed and said, "You're hired," on the spot. And ever since, I've been an ag teacher. It was an experience that I had in high school that really kind of set my philosophy as an ag teacher. Basically, my whole philosophy is creating opportunities for kids. I did everything that I could to maximize those opportunities. When I was in high school, I never got into ag until my junior year, and it was a counselor that basically said, you need to get into ag classes if you want to get into animal management. So I joined my class. My family lives in the city. I didn't grow up on a farm. When I thought about it, we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of money to be able to raise animals in my backyard, basically. And so I went home and talked to my parents, said, I'm going to get in this ag class. I have to raise an animal. That's what was required back then. And my parents were like, great, we'll figure it out. And so we talked about rabbits. On my birthday in May, I came home from school one day, and my dad is just sitting there grinning at me. And he's like, happy birthday, I got something for you. So I go outside, and here's my backyard. I got 2 dogs in the backyard, and they're running around, and with them is a lamb. And I'm like, where'd this come from? And my dad knows nothing about livestock. So this is the ugliest market lamb you've ever seen. But to me, I didn't see it as ugly. I saw it as an opportunity. This was the greatest thing in my life. I finally get to experience agriculture and raise a lamb for market. So did I do well? No. Texas has a real different philosophy about market animals. They don't sell all the animals that go to the fair, only the top 10%. I wasn't even close to the top 10%. But I had so much fun, and I learned so much from that first lamb that I really, really was motivated to raise a second lamb. And living in the city, you're like, neighbors are, but my neighbors bought in 100% because they saw my work ethic and the dedication that I had to doing that. So that was a great experience. I wanted to bring that experience to my classroom. So for me, it was really, really important for me to start thinking about what I can do to improve things on the campus and allow kids to have opportunities. In Kamiakin, we had a lot of kids that were from apartments. They didn't have a place to raise an animal. And so basically, we got to thinking, and when I started there, I had a partner, and that was Dennis Munden. And Dennis was the best partner I've ever had in my entire life, very supportive, and we got to talking. He had seen other people that had fisheries. We started an aquaculture program. When he left Kamiakin, I tried to expand that aquaculture program. We ended up raising 1,000 rainbow trout to be able to release into public ponds here in the Tri-Cities. I created a partnership with the Department of Fish and Wildlife. They came in, they taught my kids how to raise the fish. They provided expertise. They provided guest speakers in the classroom. So it wasn't just an opportunity in fisheries for my kids. It was an opportunity for career development in the natural resources area. Then we got a lot of kids in apartments. We're not having that many kids showing animals. What can we do to get these kids in apartments involved? So I decided, how about bringing small animals onto campus? We're in the middle of the city. We don't have a farm area, but we could do small animals. I could do rabbits and chickens. So we built rabbit hutches in my shop class. We built chicken coop in my shop class, and we put together some kids who wanted to show. The first year that we brought that rabbitry in, there had not been FFA members at the Benton Franklin Fair showing rabbits for about 15 years. We were the first ones to come back, and there's been rabbits in that barn ever since. My kids were dedicated to teaching others. They wanted competition. And so they put on clinics and taught the other ag teachers how to handle rabbits. We put on clinics across the state and invited people in from all over the state. My kids were the first ones to apply for proficiency awards at the state level. And basically, they didn't have much competition. Now, it's tough to win in small animal because there's lots of competition. And I feel like I was a part of that, getting not just the knowledge out there, but we brought in some really nice animals into we bought stock at the national level and in both Satins and New Zealand rabbits, and we bred them on campus. So we used that program to teach genetics in my science classes, so the kids actually got to see the benefit of breeding rabbits. And then we sold that stock, not just to local chapters, but I've got rabbits all over the state that are related to the stock that we raised there. So it's kind of a cool experience. Probably one of the greatest things that I think I ever did was bringing in competition that, creating a state competition that doesn't really get a lot of recognition, but because of what the impact that it had across the state, to me it was a big deal. We started a metal art contest. My shop kids, there's no competitions in FFA for kids that just want to weld. So I kind of brainstormed to try and come up with some ideas of what we could do. And so I thought, metal art, what better way to do that? We can sell the art, we can bring in some money, we could donate to the FFA State FFA Foundation, and they can use that to help support other state programs. So that's kind of what we did. We started off with 3 teams from District 4 in my little tiny shop, and we expanded that. CBC is now hosting that competition. When I retired, I had so many teachers come up to me and say, what's going to happen to the metal art contest? Is it going to disappear? And I said, as far as I'm concerned, I will continue to host it, but I'm going to talk to the Kamaikan teacher that's going to take over. If she's interested in taking over that program, I will let her. And she was. So I'm still judging it, but I'm no longer running it, that contest. But they were so interested to make sure that that contest stayed around, that they were willing to volunteer from across the state to help host that contest to make sure it didn't disappear. So I created not only opportunities for my students, but opportunities for students across the state, which I think is really, really cool. And it got my kids in the shop classes interested in FFA and wanting to be involved, not just in the competitions, but in community service and other things that we were doing. With the last few minutes of my time, I'd like to say some thank yous. First of all, I'd love to thank the individuals who introduced me tonight. Really, really cool thing. Karen was one of the first students I ever taught. George was one of the last students I ever taught. So it's kind of 27 years capped on either end of my teaching career. The other people that I would like to thank are my family, my husband and my son. Those of you who are ag teachers know the sacrifices that we make. They talked a little bit about how long my hours were and the dedication that I had to my career. And that comes at a sacrifice from your family. And so them being there to support me through the years that I taught was extremely important to me. And again, I would like to thank them. Thank you.